So tell me, were you ever injured? I think you talked a little bit about it.
Well, yes, I was injured. Unofficially, first time I was inside an APC when we ran over a mine and exploded. Got my head banged up, but I mean that was okay. I didn't no cuts, just knocked out for a while, and then on December 67, December 12th, we were ambushed. I was in the leading tank. We were going back for an emergency call, and I think I wrote there somewhere. We did a no-no in Vietnam is to go back using the same trail that you left behind. But it was an emergency. It was getting darker, and we had to reach this unit. So as we turned about, it wasn't more than 15 minutes. We were ambushed, and my tank was blown in front. The fellow next to me has half of his head blown up, and my M16 was cut in half. Something hit him. I protect my chest, and I got shrapnel on my shoulder. I was blown. Everything went blank. Fell down. When I fell down next to the body, I was wounded. I gave him first aid. We started shooting, and it lasted maybe 7 minutes at the most, and they vanished. They went into holes and disappeared. So the units came down, the helicopters, and took the wounded. I was helping my friend. I didn't realize I was hit.
Was it just one tank that it?
I was the first on the line.
Okay.
We were coming on, and as an engineer, demolition specialist, I had to be in the lead all the time.
Ah, yeah.
So this chopper came down, put the wounded in, and as I was helping to carry the wounded, the medic and the helicopter said, "Hey man, come on, get in, you're wounded." I didn't realize I was being shot, and there was a stream of blood coming out of my shoulder. So I got in, and that was the time that I was actually shot.
And they said they had to send you to a hospital, right?
Yeah, well, the hospital, like you see in MASH, a tent,
Like
they
that.
were working on it, they were cutting, and but it was fine. I was fine. I was out of combat for about 3 weeks, a month, and I was sent back.
How much longer did you have to stay after that?
Oh, another half year. I was in
really?
December. Yeah, because I went until June. But that was December 12th, yeah. And I came back June around the 20th, I think, 68.
So you finished in June of '68. Did you have to stay? Was that the end of your service?
No, I hadn't really out of 20 days because it wasn't worth it. You know, I complied with the term, the 12 months. So I only had two weeks left or so service. So they let me go.
So when you were drafted for 2 years?
2 years. The draft, it was 2 years. I don't know. There's no draft now, but it used to be 2
No,
years.
there's no
If
draft.
you volunteer in those days, you were the called RA. If you were drafted, you were US and then your service number. If you were RA volunteer, that means 3 years at least.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
because
about
you
the other way
volunteer, you want to make, most of these guys want to make career, want to study something. The RA doesn't have much choices. You go and service, you serve whatever you have to do, and then you're out. That was the idea. Well, my friend Dennis, for example, he was promised a career to go to probably Germany somewhere, and it didn't work out that way. He ended up in Vietnam with me. He was an RA. After Vietnam, he served another 3 years before he got out.
So did they send him to Germany or anywhere else?
No. He stayed in the United States.
Okay. But he didn't have to go back to Vietnam again?
No. You didn't. Once you do your tour of duty in Vietnam, you don't have to go
So there weren't
back
these multiple deployments?
unless that you want to.
Okay.
If you want to.
Right. Yeah.
Surprisingly, many people did.
Yeah. I can understand that. And when you came back, where was your family living?
Well, I had a brother only living in California at the time. So I didn't go back to Costa Rica. I went almost a year later to see all of them, which I should have done that as soon as I got out of the service. Because my father, my mother, everybody was worried. And it was different times, I guess. I don't know.
Why didn't you go back? Why didn't you go back to see them?
I don't know. I guess I was too busy having a good time. Buy a new car from all the money I have saved in the service. I wanted to see my friends, and I was okay. I talked to everybody in my family. I told them I was coming over soon, and that soon became almost a year. So I waited a long time before I came down, but then finally I went back to Costa Rica. Back the way they were living in Nicaragua at the time, and then but I went to Nicaragua and Costa Rica to see my relatives, but not until the end of '68.
Did they tell you how they felt when you were gone, when
Oh
you were in
yes,
Vietnam?
yes, oh yes.
I'm sure they were very worried.
I have a very impressive letter from my brother for what my father did as a promise. He was very religious to God if I came back. So he really, I mean, more than praying, a lot of things that he did for me.
You still have that letter?
Yeah, yes, I do. It's
Well, maybe one day you want to share it.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
So when did you meet Carmen?
Well, my wife.
Yes, of course. I mean, did you meet her in Nicaragua? You didn't know her
it was
before
in
you
Los
went to
Angeles.
Vietnam, right?
I just came back from the service, and like I said, I had a brand new car, and I was just 23. She was 17. It was a blind date to begin with, and the only reason that I went out with a 17-year-old, it was because my friend needed somebody to take him in the car to see her sister. He had no car, and he wanted to go there, and it wasn't close by, so he begged me to take him, to drive him over and go out with her sister. It was Carmen. So I did, and when I came back, I told him, "Do you think I want to go out again with this baby?" I use a different expression, but and he says, "I don't know." Well, look at me now; it's been almost 50 years.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
You were both lucky to have met each other.
but it was a blind date.
It was, yeah, it certainly was. So I guess you did go back to see her again and again.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned at the very end something about the lingering of your nightmares and terrible memories lingering in your life. Can you
Lasted a
talk-
while,
How
maybe a few years.
a few years after you came back?
Yeah. Dreams, nightmares. Sometimes you think you're being attacked. You hear noises. You hear a siren, ambulance. You drop from your bed, looking for cover. But
You literally do that. I mean,
oh yes, I did for at least for the first year or year and a half. But one dream that continued for almost 3 or 4 years, that I was being drafted again because I hadn't served in Vietnam. And I said, but I already did, and that's my dream. And they put me back into Dow 10 again, the same place that I was, the same unit, but I have already served. I was wounded. I served the whole year. And dreams are funny, but they're more scary than real life. I mean, being in Vietnam, I can tell you, Patricia, I can tell you, I met fear. I can really say I met fear when I was in Vietnam. The thing is to overcome it. Okay, but in a dream, there's nothing you can do. If you are afraid in your dream, you keep being afraid, and it's scary more than real life. So,
how did you conquer that fear when you were serving? The fear.
well, I guess it's a combination of things. Guts, to your buddies. I knew I could have applied for my Costa Rican treaty with the United States and being out of the combat zone, and I discussed that with the CO, my officer in Vietnam. I said, Costa Rica, yes, I'm aware. You don't have to be in the combat zone. But tell me something. Do you have a lot of friends here? Everyone's my friend. You have buddies that you have already fought with? Yeah. And do we treat you any different than them? I said, yeah, no, certainly not. How do you feel if your buddy got killed because you were not there with him. That was it. I mean, that's something I felt so ashamed just for even suggesting that I could get out of comfort zone. I never did it again. So how do you overcome that? It takes, I don't know, some guts, pride, understanding, and seeing what the other guys going through. I mean, in Vietnam, you can see guys that are really heroes. A lot of guys that will ask to be sent to the front again and again. And you see some guys that will shoot their foot or break their nose not to go and fight. You see everything. And then you understand what fear or to be a coward is like, or to be a hero is like, or to be a regular person. You know, it's a combination. There's something in Vietnam. There was something, a little bit of everything. So
Did you meet many heroes?
to me, every guy that fought and died was a hero. Even those that were afraid, they were heroes. They fought. They were afraid and they fought. Now, I mean, it's part of survival. You have to overcome your fears. Once you're in battle, you don't feel anything. It's the waiting before the contact with the end. That's the worst part of it. Once you're engaged in the firefight, you're okay. I mean, like I said, the adrenaline is up. You're fighting, but it's when it's going. When you're expecting, I don't know when. When is this place? When is the enemy going to come up? Where are they going to be? Where will they show up? I guess that's the worst part of it. Not knowing.